Hello, welcome to another episode of the People's Podcast. I'm your host, Ismail Shahid, or Paul as well. We had a good African American History Month where we stayed engaged and educated ourselves on our rich history. This particular podcast that we are releasing is not done in the normal format that we do our podcast. We do research, we create talking points, which allows us to have a fruitful conversation and a good production for our listener. We hope that you continue to listen to the podcast. You can always find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcast. You can now find us on YouTube at Podcast for the People 1. Like and subscribe. Continue to listen. We thank you for the support. But this particular podcast is not done in the normal format. We spoke about it and we all came to a decision that we should release this podcast. I had a moment where I was speaking from my heart, and after careful consideration, we said we should release this podcast.
It's one thing I want to say, I have to speak on this because we talk about Black history, right? We talk about Black history as opposed to, some people don't like Black History Month because it's 29 days. They don't give you the full amount of days. I don't subscribe to Black history because, that's like a consolation prize. It should be in a different month where we get 31 days. There's so many different arguments behind Black history, right? African American history, right? And our history is so deep that it can be talked about constantly all year. But you put yourself in a position to say you don't like Black history, so you don't talk about or explore Black history as a whole at all. And then we come up and say, here's what we say. Rap music is Black culture. Hip hop is Black culture. Since when? Did that come over on a ship from Africa with us? When? When did hip hop or Black music become our culture or our history? From where? Poetry? Maybe. And I used to listen to rap music. So, I liked rap music. But developed and born in the ghettos where we was pushed to and put there to lose what? Our minds and to lose our souls. Between music and drugs, the two things that they use to control and destroy us. I'm killing, I'm this. I got so much dope on the block. You know what I'm saying? And I was a part of it. We were all part of the cog, the wheel. The spoke in the wheel. And we spinning the whole thing. And we tell everybody, hip hop's Black culture. Black excellence. Since when? And you can be mad at me all you want. You could be upset at me, and the reason why you would be upset at me, because if you did your research, you would understand what I'm telling you is true. You would understand and know what I'm telling you is true. Truth hurts. And like I said, I listen to rap music, and I actually I liked rap music. And as opposed to the skill that it takes to develop a rap song, especially some of them. And a couple of years back, there was a rap that I heard, and I was like, wow, how the heck did this guy do this? It was the Black Thought freestyle on the Funk Flex show. And everybody knows, people who listen to rap music understand what I'm talking about, know what I'm talking about. It was the Black Thought freestyle on the Funk Flex show. Are you kidding me? This guy The way he put these words together, that is a skill in itself. For somebody who is a thinker, who is a reader, educated, because you can't put those type of words together and those metaphors together without some understanding. It just doesn't take, you're not going to just come out of nowhere like myself. I mean, I'm not as skilled as some of these, rappers / poets, because you should call yourself a poet. Why not call yourself a poet? Why not ease into poetry and explain the culture in itself? Explain the real culture. Not about how many people you killed on the block. Not about how much rocks you sold on the block or how much hoes you got. Why? Why let that be what it's about? Okay, it was developed. Let's go with the argument. It was developed in the ghettos and where we were pushed to. It was developed in the ghettos, and it was something that gave us past the time. Hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It started with the bebop and it started there. Let's go with that argument. Now we go with that argument and start there. Why not let it develop in something that's poetry? That's that speaks to your pain, because you speaking to your pain from the aspect of what they gave you. What they gave you to destroy yourself. The dope, the drugs, the killing, the selling, the everything. The disdrating of women. It's what they gave us. Being in the ghettos. Come on, black people. Come on, African American people. Your culture is rich. It's rich from kings and queens. It's rich and beautiful in every single way. I just made a trip to Jackson, Mississippi, and it was just so beautiful. And I learned so many things that I didn't even begin to know. And when I crossed the line, the state lines I was driving, when I crossed the state lines into Mississippi, I said, man, this is historical Mississippi. This is the home of civil rights activism, ground roots activism, where they stood tall in the face of death. And most of them, not if all of them, were murdered and killed. Because they stood tall. Because they stood for the rights of the people, the real rights of the people. I learned about this slave named Abduhl Rahhahman. I think about back in 1848. He was captured in Africa, captured a Muslim, and most of us came from Muslim tribes in Africa. Places like Mali and Senegal. Muslim families and Muslim tribes. And this Muslim brother was captured, was a prince. Was a prince in his own land. In his own land, snatched and sent to America across the Atlantic Ocean. Snatched and shipped over into the Atlantic slave trade and sold to a family called the Fosters. Tried to run away, realized he couldn't get away, and ran back to the plantation. And after he ran back to the plantation, he realized, I can't get back to Africa. This is my only choice. This is the only choice I have. So now I have to live a life. Now I have to make a life out of this. And he spent 40 years in bondage in slavery. And he used to train the rest of the slaves that came on the plantation. Tell them, this is what you do. This is how you used to train the rest of it. Became the quote unquote overseer of the plantation for the Negroes, for the property that came in. And they became, they started was calling him Prince. Because of course probably within the story that they didn't tell you is that a lot of those Africans that was coming to that plantation probably knew who he was or who his family was. And he spent 40 years in bondage before he started to advocate for himself, because he married and he got children, and you know, he had himself a wife and got children and everything. And a man saw him, a doctor saw him, and I forget the doctor's name, so I apologize. You know, the doctor saw him and said, but prior to that, this doctor got lost, and he spent time in this African village. He noticed who he was. Like, whoa, wait a minute, you prince of a, whoa. He treated me with hospitality like beyond him. He tried to get his freedom. And, you know, he died before he tried to advocate for the African and buy his freedom and send him back home. It didn't work. So he kept trying. His son tried, you know, before President Truman. I mean, it got into the newspapers. It got all over the place. You know, one of the local newspaper writers saw him reading Arabic, reading Holy Qur'an, and was amazed. Like, how do you know how to read this? He told him, you know, explained to him, I'm a prince. What? Wait a minute. From where? So he, you know, and by the time they got the message, they thought he was actually from oh man, I totally forgot. Morocco. And he thought he was from Morocco. Or he was the family of the Prince of Morocco, because they had a relationship. America at the time had a relationship with Morocco. So he was emancipated. You know, he got sent to Washington. They was going to send him back to Morocco. You know, at that time he spent a little bit of time in Washington and traveling and going and seeing so many churches and so many people. He was trying to win and buy the freedom, so he was raising money to try to buy the freedom of his children. And you know, he never lived to see it. You know, Andrew Jackson, you know, became president. This wasn't on Andrew Jackson's agenda, but he wanted to move him out of it, because it was causing distraction in America, of course. So they finally put him on a ship and sent him to Libya, and you know, he started his travels back to Africa. His wife went with him, and you know, he passed away before he got to see his children free. But his wife had, the story goes on that his wife had finally brought at least two of the children, free them, and got two of the children over there to Libya with her. I don't think she made it past Libya and began to live her life in Libya before eventually she passed away. But what I'm saying is, that's your history. That's your history. That's who you are. Because there's so many stories like that. Imagine the amount of people that came to his plantation that was of African descent. The African people that came to his plantation that was Muslim. And those are the conversations that they probably had with amongst themselves. Wanting to make salah. Wanting to pray. You know? This is our history, people. This is our history. This is rich, beautiful history. This is who you are. You know, it doesn't take 29 days to describe what was done to us as a people. It's way more than that. It's way deeper than that. And we all know that. But we all can't forget it. We can't spend our lifetimes forgetting it and saying, you know, that didn't happen to us. It happened to your ancestors. It happened to you. It affected you through generations. Not being able to be educated. It affected you. It affected us all. Our mindset. Growing up in the ghettos, our mindset. Starting to hip-hop and bebop. Why not switch it to poetry? Why not become a famous poet that says beautiful words of calm and peace? That uplifts mankind, that uplifts people. Not bring them down, not trying to shoot and kill one another and sell drugs on the corner. on. I'm speaking to African American people that understand and know, man, with an open heart. With an open heart. You all understand and you all know. You know what it is. Some of us, a lot of us know what it is. But our comfortability and our ignorance leads us and lets us to just wallow in what we're already doing. And we have a choice, to each his own. I'm not knocking anybody's in. I'm not oh, he's a hater. I'm not a hater. Not a hater at all. To each his own. I know some people personally that subscribe to that hip hop and rap. I hope you're doing good. I hope you like what you're doing. I hope you're happy. I hope you like what you're doing. Hope you like what you're doing. I'm just here to tell you there's something different. Your history is not that. Your history is rich and full of life, from kings and queens and a group of people that gave their all and worshiped the Almighty with everything they had. Beginning from the time of the Holy Last Messenger. Beginning from the time of the Holy Last Messenger, where it led into Africa. And we could go into the Emperor Najashi. We could go into that. But that's a whole nother show. That's a whole other show. That's your history. That's our history as African people. And at the end of this documentary, it was a documentary about this slave, Abduhl Rahhahman, right? At the end of it, it urged us to try to find out where our lineage came from, to search to where our lineage came from. And I myself, I'm very interested in doing that. I don't want to, they said that there's these, they said that there's these, what's this thing called, ancestry.com, but I don't like this. I don't like the ancestry.com. I feel like a lot of bad information has come from that. Maybe some good information has come from that, but we got a hit and miss in between there. I don't know how I will be able to track down where my ancestors came from, but I would love to embark on a journey such as that. And the people who can do, the people who can do, the creators of Roots did that. Personally, and this is my personal opinion, I felt like the creators of Roots, I feel personally, I don't want to get into it. Roots was a very good, well put together movie, series, and documentary. And I felt like a lot of their family was from a Muslim village. Like the majority of his family was Muslim. And I don't know, I didn't see that highlighted in the documentary or the movie. But that's beside the point. He was just highlighting the fact that he traced his family back to Africa and, the time that they spent in America as slaves. And that's a good, it was good. I loved it. We used to watch Roots all the time growing up. That was one of repeatedly we watch Roots. We know some of the lines by heart. More grits dummy. We know all the lines by heart. I just said in the beginning I didn't feel like, but I felt passionate. I felt real passionate about the things that are destroying us as a people. The things that are plaguing us as a whole, as a people. Things that we are allowing to let destroy us because we're such a strong people. We're such a vibrant, intelligent people. And we are letting things just destroy us. We are letting things destroy us as a whole. Hip hop and rap music and everything else. And I know you got your favorite, and I don't want to, I'm not trying to tear down anybody's dreams or anybody's favorite music or rappers. To each his own. But listen to the people that understand and listen. We are being systematically still marginalized against. Still. And we allow it and we feed it to our children. I go online, I see black people, black ladies and young girls doing this twerking stuff. Oh, man. Come on. The African American people are beautiful people. Are beautiful people with intelligent roots. The creators of science and math and, language, calligraphy, beautiful writing, poetry. This is our roots. This is our history. African American history. And no, it doesn't take a month, I know. Or 29 days. Tell it in your households. Tell it in your homes. Do the research for yourself. And fall in love with it. And I hope, man, personally, again, this is my prayer that it brings you back to the beginning and where you came from, Islam. Hopefully. That's my prayer. But I'm going to get into, I appreciated the trip. Give me some time to think and go through my thoughts. I like driving on the highway. The People's Podcast, you can follow us on YouTube. Like and subscribe, please. We appreciate the support. We appreciate everybody, their words of encouragement. Because a lot of times you want to quit. You're doing something like this, and I'm not the most polished talker, or but I'm speaking from my heart to my people this time. A lot of times I speak to people as a whole, but right now I'm speaking to the African American people in the ghettos, and then pick ourselves up, understand our history, learn our history, do our research. Go to your local library. Go to Google if you have to. Find documentaries online. Find out who you are, who you really are. And stop this killing. The drugs and the killing, stop. That's not who we are. That's not who we were meant to be. That's who we were programmed into being. Murderers of each other. The Almighty forgive us. Astaghfirullah. So, I pray in this time period that we all gain some understanding. I hope that the People's Podcast give you some form of enlightenment that brings you to do your research and understand who you are yourself and guide us to the light. Whatever that may be for yourself, and guide us to the light. Amen. I'm going to highlight at the end. Like and subscribe on YouTube, please. Thank you. I'm going to give you some highlights of the Mississippi trip, and enjoy. Thank you for listening to the People's Podcast. I'm your host, Ismail Shaheed. Assalamu alaikum.
الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون والذين هم عن اللغو معرضون والذين هم للزكاة فاعلون والذين هم لفروجهم حافظون إلا على أزواجهم أو ما ملكت أيمانهم فإنهم غير ملومين فمن ابتغى وراء ذلك فأولئك هم العادون والذين هم لأماناتهم وعهدهم راعون والذين هم على صلواتهم يحافظون أولئك هم الوارثون الذين يرثون الفردوس هم فيها خالدون ولقد خلقنا الإنسان من سلالة من طين ثم جعلناه نطفة في قرار مكين ثم خلقنا النطفة علقة فخلقنا العلقة مضغة فخلقنا المضغة عظاما فكسونا العظام لحما ثم أنشأناه خلقا آخر فتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين ثم إنكم بعد ذلك لميتون ثم إنكم يوم القيامة تبعثون ولقد خلقنا فوقكم 7 طرائق وما كنا عن الخلق غافلين وأنزلنا من السماء ماء بقدر فأسكناه في الأرض وإنا على ذهاب به لقادرون فأنشأنا لكم به جنات من نخيل وأعناب لكم فيها فواكه كثيرة ومنها تأكلون وشجرة تخرج من طور سيناء تنبت بالدهن وصبغ للآكلين وإن لكم في الأنعام لعبرة نسقيكم مما في بطونها ولكم فيها منافع كثيرة ومنها تأكلون وعليها وعلى الفلك تحملون ولقد أرسلنا نوحا إلى قومه فقال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره أفلا تتقون فقال الملأ الذين كفروا من قومه ما هذا إلا بشر مثلكم يريد أن يتفضل عليكم ولو شاء